The first time I met Ethan Parker, I heard his thoughts. How can there still be arranged marriages in this modern age? This is feudal nonsense. I won't allow it. Then his gaze fell on me. I absolutely refuse. She's so cute. I touched the birthmark on my face. Maybe he was talking about the girl in the princess dress behind me. So I consciously moved aside a bit. So cute. Even the mark on her face is adorable, like a butterfly. I love butterflies. The young master has a bit of a temper and sometimes can't control himself. If he gets angry with you girls, don't take it to heart. I was about to nod when Emma next to me spoke up, her tone cheerful and bright, though a calculating glint flashed in her eyes. Don't worry, Mr. Butler. We definitely won't take it to heart. She agreed, verbally, but secretly clenched her dress. I pressed my lips together, touched the birthmark on my left cheek, hidden by my hair, and nodded. Too. The Parker family came to our village, looking for girls born on June 16th. Both Emma and I were born on June 16th, since the Parkers had plenty of money. Anyway, they brought both of us home to see which one the young master would prefer. Mr. Butler said the young master was 16 this year, but his health was very poor. Doctors said he wouldn't live past 20. Mrs. Parker consulted many famous fortune tellers, and they all said the same thing. Find a bride from his birthplace to bring him good luck. Someone born on the 16th day of the 6th lunar month, year of the snake. Let the girl grow up with him, and through her destiny, the Parker family's young master could live longer. The Parkers only had this one precious son, so even though Mrs. Parker didn't really believe in such things, she still did it. So Emma and I were brought to the Parker house, but only one of us could stay with the young master. Best candidate gets the job, the butler explained. What about the other one? I asked weakly. The other one? Mrs. Parker said she'd sponsor her education through college. Mrs. Parker was such a good person, providing food and education. I had to treat the young master well. The Parker house was huge. It took 10 minutes just to walk from the front gate to the main hall. Are those for the young master? Why are there two? Is this what rich family sons are like? The difference is so big. One is so pretty, and the other is so ugly. I think that's the word they wanted to say. I was born with this birthmark, and it used to be even darker. Back then, with my pale skin, it was especially noticeable. I've been called ugly and hideous my whole life. I was used to it. And besides, they were telling the truth for people like me who aren't pretty. Being ignored is natural. I just needed to have enough food and go to school. So annoying. They keep saying I'm perfectly healthy, but they insist on finding me some arranged bride. What century is this? How can there still be arranged marriages in modern America? I won't allow it. I absolutely refuse to give in. I'm going to send them away today. One sentence after another reached my ears. A young man's voice that sounded clean and crisp, but I didn't see any young man around. I gently tugged Emma's dress and asked, "Did you hear someone talking?" "No." She impatiently slapped my hand away, looking disgusted. "Don't touch my dress with your dirty hands." Oh, I patted my ears. Maybe I heard wrong. Don't want to go downstairs. Don't want to go downstairs. Don't I want to go downstairs? So annoying. I'm only 16 and already have to find a girlfriend. No way. No way. I know. With these complaints, I saw a tall and incredibly handsome boy walking downstairs. His skin was unusually pale, almost blue, bloodless, but his lips had a strange, rosy red color. Most striking were his eyes. In changing light, his pupils seemed to faintly show a vertical line, shape, somewhat like a snake's. I don't want any arranged bride. I absolutely refuse. She's so cute. I met the young master's eyes. His gaze fell on my birthmark, and I hurriedly lowered my head. Cute? He probably wasn't talking about me, but Emma. She was wearing a fluffy dress today and looked very cute. So I consciously moved aside. Why won't she look at me? Am I not handsome enough? I'm so insecure. Are you the young master? Emma. Emma stepped forward, perfectly blocking half of me, extending her hand with a sweet, innocent smile. Ethan's gaze fell on her hand, then slowly moved to my face. So cute. So cute. So cute. Even the mark On her face is adorable like a butterfly. I love butterflies most. He was talking about me. I instinctively wanted to cover the birthmark on my face, but he said it looked like a butterfly and was cute. Why is she covering it? Such a cute butterfly mark. So adorable. Act like a little kid. My ears turned red. The continuous compliments made me forget the amazing fact that I could hear Ethan's thoughts. Emma held her hand out for about a minute before Ethan slowly extended his slender hand and replied, Ethan, don't like physical contact with others, but not shaking hands would be rude. Sad. Emma smiled sweetly and asked Ethan, can I call you big brother? Ethan immediately refused. No. So awkward. So awkward. I felt so embarrassed for Emma. I wanted to disappear on the spot. The atmosphere fell into silence until the butler spoke up to change the subject. This is little Zoe, little duck. Which duck? Like the animal duck? Little duckling. Quack, 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 quack. Although Ethan's voice was pleasant, even the nicest voice making duck sounds was very strange. I'm Zoe. Zoe Wilson. Zoe as a no. She's blushing. So cute. Maybe. Mom, do you believe in love at first sight? My eyes wide. The way Zoe looks at me makes me feel like she knows what I'm thinking. I quickly lowered my head to avoid suspicion. So hungry. So hungry. Hungry enough to swallow an elephant, but my schedule has been so weird lately. Why am I sleepy during the day but super alert at night? And my legs always ache faintly. Sometimes they itch too. What's that about? And everyone has a scent now. I never noticed that before. Strange. Whatever. I'm so hungry. I'm going to raid the fridge. My hand froze while secretly raiding the refrigerator, even though the butler told Emma and me that if we got hungry at night, we could drink the yogurt in the fridge. But if I got caught, it would leave a bad impression. I quickly grabbed a bottle of unpackaged yogurt and hid in the cabinet nearby. The cabinet under the counter wasn't big, but I was short, so it fit perfect quickly. It was just a bit dark. I carefully licked the yogurt. Lid delicious. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, why is one of my strawberry yogurts missing? Who drank my strawberry yogurt? Who was it who drank my strawberry milk? I'm going to eat her. Eat me. So it was true that city people eat people. I was so scared I dropped the bottle and it rolled glug through the floor gap to Ethan's feet. Huh, a mouse. Seeing I was about to be discovered, I crawled out of the cow. It was me who stole it. I'm sorry, young master. Not a little mouse. It's little butterfly. Yes, cute. Little butterfly. I was so hungry, and the butler said we could drink yogurt when hungry, and then Ethan nodded, his gaze lingering on my face for a moment before unnaturally looking away. His Adam's apple. Bobby. So cute. Want to eat her up in one bite? Nom nom. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It's okay, Zoe. Ethan handed me another strawberry yogurt. I didn't dare take it. Doesn't she like strawberry flavor? How could anyone not like strawberry? I quickly took it and asked flatteringly, what flavor is this? It's so sweet and sour. So good. I knew it. Nobody dislikes strawberry flavored things. Huh, has Zoe never eaten strawberries? Never. Oh, no. I'm doomed. I really can't tell the difference between his thoughts and what Ethan actually says out loud. Does she really not know what a strawberry is? Ethan's inner voice drifted into my mind, sounding incredibly soft, almost mournful. Her family must have been so poor. My heart aches. I want to buy her a whole greenhouse of strawberries. No, a whole farm. But if I say that, will she think I'm showing off? Girls don't like show-offs. On the outside, Ethan merely stood there, his pale face expressionless, his lips pressed into a thin, cool line, his vertical pupils dilated slightly in the dim light of the kitchen, tracking my every movement. Thank you, young master, I whispered, keeping my eyes cast downward. I've had strawberries before, but only the artificial flavor in candy. This is very different. It's delicious. A sudden surge of satisfaction warmed my mind. Not my own emotion, but his. She likes it. She called me young master. But I wish she'd call me Ethan. No, big brother is too cheesy, especially since I refused Emma, but Ethan would be nice. Her voice is so soft, like a little bird. You can have as much as you want, Ethan said aloud, his voice cool and detached, completely at odds with the chaotic, joyful bouncing of his thoughts. The butler stocks them every Tuesday. If anyone eats them, it's fine. Actually, only she can eat them. If that fake smiling girl touches my yogurt, I'll hiss at her. I really will. I had to bite the inside of my cheek to keep from laughing. The contrast between this aloof, intimidating young master of the Parker family and the petulant, sweet-toothed boy in his head was almost too much to bear. I should go back to my room, I said quietly, gesturing toward the back stairs before the butler thinks I'm wandering around where I shouldn't be. Don't go, his mind instantly protested. The night is so long and my legs hurt. But if I ask her to stay, she'll think I'm a weirdo. I have to be cool, and mysterious. Go on then, Ethan said, turning his back to me and opening the freezer door as if searching for something else. Don't trip in the dark. Be careful, little butterfly. The stairs are creaky. Good night, young master, I murmured, slipping out of the kitchen. As I climbed the stairs back to the attic-style rooms where Emma and I had been set up, my mind was spinning. I could hear his thoughts. It wasn't a dream, and it wasn't a hallucination. The moment I was within a certain distance of Ethan Parker, his inner monologue broadcasted directly into my head like a radio station. But why? Was it because we were both born on the 16th day of the 6th lunar month? Or was there something else? When I entered our shared room, the light was still on. Emma was sitting at the vanity brushing her long, glossy hair. She looked at me through the mirror, her eyes instantly narrowing when she saw the yogurt in my hand. Where did you get that? She asked, her voice dropping its sweet, cheerful tone now that no adults were around. The kitchen, I said, setting the empty bottle on my small nightstand. The butler said we could have some if we were hungry. Emma sneered, turning around to face me. You really are a country bumpkin, aren't you? Slipping down to the kitchen like a thief in the night. Let me tell you something, Zoe. Don't get any ideas about the young master. Did you see the way he looked at you? He wouldn't even shake my hand, but he wouldn't even look you in the eye. He thinks you're an eyesore. She pointed a manicured finger at my left cheek. With that ugly thing on your face, you're just here to be my foil. Mrs. Parker will choose me to stay. I'm the one who's going to marry into this family, get my education paid for, and live in luxury. You're just a charity case. I didn't argue. I never did. Over the years, I had learned that letting Emma think she had won was the fastest way to make her leave me alone. You're probably right, I said softly, pulling the blanket over my shoulders. Good night, Emma, she scoffed, turning off the light. But as I lay in the darkness, staring at the ceiling, I couldn't help but touch the birthmark on my cheek. Even the mark on her face is adorable, like a butterfly. I love butterflies most. A small, genuine smile crept onto my face. For the first time in my life, someone had looked at my defect and seen something beautiful. Even if he had only said it in his head, it was enough. Over the next few weeks, the rules of the Parker household became clear. Because Ethan's health was fragile, he didn't attend a regular school. Instead, private tutors came to the estate every day. Mrs. Parker, a sophisticated but deeply anxious woman, decided that Emma and I should join these lessons. A young master needs companions, she had explained during breakfast on our third day. Her fingers, laden with diamond rings, nervously tapped her porcelain teacup. And besides, we want to see how you girls adapt. This isn't just about destiny, it's about compatibility. Emma had immediately beamed, offering to carry Ethan's books. I had simply nodded, keeping my hair draped forward to hide my birthmark. The study was a grand room filled with leather-bound books, towering windows, and a massive mahogany table. Ethan was already sitting there when we arrived. Under the bright morning sunlight, he looked even more translucent. His skin had an almost pearlescent sheen, and there were dark circles under his eyes, as if he hadn't slept at all. So sleepy, his mind grown the moment I walked through the door. Why does the sun have to be so bright? My eyes burn. I want to shed my skin. No, wait, humans don't say that. I want to sleep. Oh, little butterfly is here. His head snapped up, and for a fraction of a second, his vertical pupils dilated into wide, dark circles before narrowing back into sharp slits. She's wearing a green sweater today. She looks like a little leaf. A leaf for my butterfly to sit on. So cute. But why is her hair covering her face again? I want to blow the hair away. No, that's rude. I must control myself. Good morning, young Master Ethan, Emma chirped, sliding into the chair right next to him. She practically radiated cheap, sweet vanilla perfume. Ethan visibly flinched, although he said nothing, but his mind was screaming. What? That smell? It's like a chemical factory. Exploded, and a bucket of sugar. My nose. I'm going to sneeze. If I sneeze on her, she'll cry, and then my mom will scold me. Go away, go away, go away. He pointedly shifted his chair a few inches to the left, closer to where I had just sat down. Much better. His thoughts sighed with relief. Zoe smells like rain. Rain on wild grass. It's so cool and clean. I want to curl up next to her and sleep for 100 years. I felt a sudden flush of heat rise to my cheeks. I quickly opened my notebook, trying to focus on the tutor who had just walked in. The lesson was European history, but I could barely concentrate. Every time Ethan shifted in his seat, his mind would drift, and I would be privy to his inner world. It was a bizarre, fascinating place. He was incredibly intelligent, frequently correcting the tutor's dates in his head, but his physical discomfort was constant. My legs, they feel like they're being squeezed by iron bands. Why does growing up hurt so much? The doctor said it's just growing pains, but I feel like my bones are shifting and my back is so itchy. I stole a quick glance at him. He was gripping the edge of the table so tightly his knuckles were white, yet his expression remained perfectly cold. His eyes fixed on the chalkboard. He was in pain, serious, agonizing pain, and he was hiding it from everyone. During the midday break, the tutor left and Emma immediately went to the restroom to touch up her lip gloss. This left Ethan and me alone in the vast study. I looked at his hands, which were still slightly trembling. Young master, I said, softly, keeping my voice low so the servants outside wouldn't hear. Are your legs hurting very badly? Ethan stiffened. He turned his head slowly, those strange, mesmerizing eyes locking onto mine. What makes you say that? He asked, his tone guarded, almost sharp. How did she know? His mind panicked. Is it that obvious? Am I showing weakness? No, a future head of the Parker family cannot show weakness. I have to lie. I noticed you were holding the table very tightly, I said, offering a small, apologetic smile. My grandmother back in the village used to have bad joints when the weather changed, she said, soaking them in warm water with mugwort helped. I don't know if the Parker has his mugwort, but it might help. Ethan stared at me. The defensive wall in his mind slowly crumbled, replaced by a wave of intense, overwhelming warmth. She was watching me. She noticed. She cares about me. She's so kind. Mugwort? I don't care if it's weed from the garden. If she suggested it, I want to try it, but I have to sound dignified. It's just minor fatigue, Ethan said, aloud, clearing his throat. But I suppose I can ask the butler to look into this mugwort thing since you recommended it. Yes, I'm going to have the butler buy 10 tons of mugwort. I couldn't help but smile. I hope it helps. Why do you keep doing that? He asked. Suddenly, doing what? Hiding your face, he said, gesturing faintly to the left side of my head where my hair fell forward. It's not necessary, because I want to see your face, his mind added, a sudden rare note of vulnerability creeping into his thoughts. It's a beautiful face. The mark makes you special, like a fairy from the woods. People in my village said it was a curse, I whispered, my fingers instinctively reaching up to tuck the hair back, then hesitating. They said I was ugly. They were fools. Ethan said instantly, his voice louder and sharper than usual. He seemed surprised by his own outburst, his pale cheeks flushing a faint, lovely pink. He quickly turned his gaze out the window. The people in your village clearly lack aesthetic appreciation, he muttered. They are blind. His mind roared with indignation. Absolutely blind. If I ever go to that village, I'm going to buy all their land and turn it into a swamp. No, a swamp is too good. I'll turn it into a giant garbage dump. How dare they make my little butterfly sad? A soft laugh escaped my lips. I couldn't stop it in time. Ethan turned back, his eyes wide. She laughed. She has the prettiest laugh, like silver bells. What's so funny? He demanded, though there was no real anger in his voice. Nothing, I said, tucking my hair behind my ear, fully exposing the dark, butterfly-shaped birthmark on my cheek. Just thank you, Ethan. The moment his name left my mouth, Ethan froze. His heart rate, which I could somehow feel through our strange connection, spiked dramatically. She called me Ethan. She called me Ethan. Oh my God, I'm going to faint. My heart is beating too fast. Is this what a heart attack feels like? I'm only 16. I can't die yet. I haven't even held her hand. You're welcome, he managed to say, his voice cracking slightly. He quickly picked up his history book and held it upside down in front of his face to hide his blush. I bit my lip to suppress another laugh. Yes, Ethan Parker was supposed to be a cold, cursed, sickly young master, but to me, he was rapidly becoming the most endearing person I had ever met. As the days bled into weeks, the summer heat grew more intense, and with it, Ethan's condition deteriorated. He stopped coming to the study room altogether. Mrs. Parker's face grew paler by the day, and the butler walked around with a permanent, anxious scowl. Emma was ecstatic, thinking this was her chance to show her devotion by offering to deliver soup to his room, but she was turned away every single time. The young master is resting and wishes not to be disturbed, the butler would say firmly. But I knew the truth, or rather, I heard the truth, even from my room on the third floor. If the night was quiet enough, I could catch faint, agonizing whispers of Ethan's thoughts drifting through the walls. It burns so much. Why is my skin peeling? Am I turning into a monster? It hurts. My legs. I can't feel my toes anymore. They're stuck together. No, don't look at me. I'm disgusting. I'm a snake. One night, the thoughts were so loud, so filled with pain and terror, that I couldn't take it anymore. It was 2 o'clock. The entire household was asleep. I slipped out of my bed, quiet as a shadow, and made my way down the dark grand staircase. I didn't know the exact layout of the second floor, where the master bedrooms were, but I didn't need a map. I just followed the sound of his suffering in my mind. So cold, but my skin is boiling. Why won't it come off? It's too tight. I can't breathe. I stopped in front of a heavy double oak door at the end of the east wing. I pressed my ear against it. Inside, I could hear a faint, dry, rustling sound, like paper rubbing against paper. I gently turned the brass doorknob. To my surprise, it was unlocked. The room inside was pitch black. The heavy velvet curtains were drawn tight, blocking out even the moonlight. The air was thick, humid, and carried a distinct earth-like scent, the smell of a forest floor after a heavy summer downpour. Ethan, I whispered. A sudden sharp hiss cut through the darkness. Get out, a voice gasped. It was Ethan's, but it was deeper, rougher, as if his throat were dry and cracked. Why is she here? His mind screamed in absolute panic. No. She can't see me like this. I'm hideous. I'm sheden. There are scales on my arms. My legs are locked together. I look like a monster. She'll run away. She'll hate me. I'm not leaving, I said, closing the door softly behind me. I didn't turn on the lights. I knew that would only terrify him more. Instead, I took a step forward, letting my eyes adjust to the gloom. Ethan, I heard you, I said, walking toward the massive canopy bed. You're in pain. I told you to go, he snarled, but his voice broke, ending in a pathetic whimpering gasp. Please don't look. Please, I beg you. I love you so much, Zoe. Please don't look at me and be disgusted. My heart ached so intensely that tears welled in my eyes. The sheer depth of his vulnerability, his fear of being rejected by me of all people, dissolve any lingering fear I had. I'm not disgusted, I said, reaching the edge of the bed. I could see a large shape huddled beneath the heavy silk quilts. The rustling sound was louder now. How can you say that? Ethan whispered, his breath coming in short, ragged gasps. You don't know what I am. My family, we have a curse. Every few generations a child is born with the blood of the great serpent. I'm not human, Zoe. I'm a beast. The doctors can't cure me. The fortune tellers, they only brought you here to be a sacrifice to my curse. I don't care, I said. I knelt beside the bed. Slowly, deliberately, I reached out and slid my hand under the quilt. Ethan flinched violently, trying to pull away, but I was determined. My fingers brushed against his arm. The skin felt incredibly strange. It was cool, dry, and covered in a layer of thin, translucent paper-like scales that were partially peeling away. Beneath them, his new skin was smooth and radiating a feverish heat. She touched me. His mind went entirely still, the panic suddenly washing away, replaced by an awestruck, quiet wonder. Her hand is so warm. It doesn't hurt where she touches me. The burning, it's stopping. Does it hurt when you peel it? I ask softly, my fingers gently tracing the edge of a loose layer of skin on his forearm. Yes, he whispered, his voice trembling. It sticks to the new skin. If I pull too hard, it bleeds. Let me help you, I said. I climbed onto the edge of the bed, sitting cross-legged. I carefully pulled back a portion of the quilt, exposing his arm. In the dim light, in the faint glow filtering from beneath the door, I could see his arm was indeed covered in a shimmering iridescent layer of dead skin. Like a cicada shell, with absolute gentleness, I pinched the edge of the loose skin near his wrist. Tell me if it hurts, I murmured. It doesn't hurt at all, his thoughts whispered, wrapping around my mind like a warm blanket. It feels like heaven. Her touch is like cool water on a sunburn. I want her to do this forever. Slowly, carefully, I began to peel the dead skin away. It came off in long, intact sheets, revealing the flawless, pale skin beneath. As I worked, I felt a strange energy flowing between us. The birthmark on my cheek began to tingle, a warm, pulsing sensation that seemed to sync with the beating of Ethan's heart. Ethan let out a long, shuddering sigh, his body relaxing completely for the first time in weeks. Why are you afraid? He asked, his vertical pupils staring up at me through the darkness. Because you called my birthmark a butterfly, I said, simply, not stopping my hands. A monster wouldn't say something so kind. Ethan's mind went quiet for a long moment, filled only with a deep, wordless emotion that made my own chest swell with warmth. I want to protect her, he thought. I want to grow strong, survive past 20, and build a world where nobody can ever make her cry. I don't want to die. I want to live with her. You're not going to die, Ethan, I whispered, peeling the last of the dry skin from his shoulder. I won't let you. He looked up, surprised. What did you say? I froze, realizing I had answered his thoughts again. I said, you're going to be fine. I quickly corrected, my face burning. Ethan didn't push it. He simply closed his eyes, a serene, peaceful expression settling over his handsome face. She's my miracle, his mind whispered as he drifted off to sleep, his hand reaching out to loosely, gently clasp mine. My little butterfly. By the next morning, Ethan's fever had completely broken. When the butler entered the room with breakfast, he was shocked to find the young master sitting up in bed, looking healthier than he had in months. His skin was smooth, his eyes clear, and the terrible joint pain that had crippled him was entirely gone. This is a miracle, the butler gasped immediately, calling for Mrs. Parker. Mrs. Parker wept with joy, hugging her son, who received the embrace with his usual stoic indifference, though his mind was secretly grumbling. Mom, you're crushing me, and your perfume is still too strong. Where is Zoe? I want to see Zoe. Why did they make her leave before morning? I stood in the background with Emma, watching the happy family reunion. Emma's face was a mask of polite joy, but her mind was a toxic swamp of jealousy. I couldn't hear her thoughts. My telepathy only worked with Ethan, but I didn't need to be a mind reader to see the hatred in her eyes. She had noticed my tired eyes and the tiny papery scale that had accidentally stuck to the cuff of my sweater. She knew I had been in his room last night, that afternoon, while the household was busy preparing a feast to celebrate Ethan's recovery. Emma cornered me in our room. You think you're so clever, don't you? She hissed, slamming the door shut. You sneaked into his room. What did you do to him, Zoe? Did you use some dirty village witchcraft? I didn't do anything, I said, packing my books into my bag. I just helped him because he was in pain. Liar. Emma grabbed my arm, her nails digging into my skin. The butler said the young master's room was locked. How did you get in? You must have stolen the master key. And look at this. She pulled a small silver amulet from her pocket. It was an antique piece, shaped like a coiled serpent with emerald eyes. I recognized it. It was the Parker family heirloom that Mrs. Parker kept in the display case in the library. You stole this, didn't you? Emma sneered, a wicked, triumphant smile spreading across her face. I found it in your drawer. My blood ran cold. I've never seen that in my life, Emma. You put it there. Who do you think they'll believe? Emma laughed, her voice sharp and vicious. The ugly girl with a curse on her face. Or me, when Mrs. Parker finds out you're a thief, she'll throw you out on the street, and I will be the only bride left. She didn't wait for my response. She turned and ran out of the room, shouting for the butler. Within 10 minutes, I was brought down to the main hall. Mrs. Parker sat on the high-backed velvet sofa, her face grave. The silver amulet sat on the marble table before her. Emma stood to the side, looking tearful and innocent, while the butler stood behind them like an imposing statue. Zoe, Mrs. Parker said, her voice heavy with disappointment. Emma claims she found this heirloom in your vanity. The lock on the library display case was jimmied open. What do you have to say for yourself? I didn't steal it, Mrs. Parker, I said, keeping my voice steady despite the trembling of my hands. Emma is framing me. Why would Emma do that? Mrs. Parker sighed. She has been nothing but cooperative, and she was the one who brought this to our attention. Zoe, I am a charitable woman, but I cannot tolerate a thief in my house, especially one who would steal a sacred family protective amulet. She's lying, Emma sobbed, wiping away fake tears. I saw her sneaking around the library yesterday. I didn't want to believe it, but when I looked in her drawer, oh, Mrs. Parker, I'm so sorry I didn't speak up sooner. It seems we have her answer, the butler said coldly. I will prepare the papers to send Zoe back to the village. My heart sank. It wasn't the loss of the comfortable life or the education that hurt. It was the thought of leaving Ethan, the thought of him being left alone with his pain, with no one to understand his thoughts, no one to help him when the next shedding season came. Wait, a cold, clear voice echoed from the grand staircase. Everyone turned. Ethan was walking down the stairs, dressed in a sleek black suit. He looked taller, more imposing, and his presence seemed to command the entire room. These absolute idiots, his mind was roaring with a fury so intense made my ears ring. How dare they accuse my butterfly? Emma, you ugly, scheming snake. No. Snakes are beautiful. You're a toad, a slimy, warts and all toad. I'm going to expose you right now. Ethan, Mrs. Parker said, standing up. You should be resting. This is a household matter. A household matter that concerns my future. Ethan interrupted, stepping into the hall. He didn't look at Emma. His eyes were fixed entirely on me, softening for a fraction of a second, before turning ice cold as he faced his mother. The amulet wasn't stolen, Ethan said calmly. What? Mrs. Parker blinked. I gave it to Zoe. Ethan lied smoothly, without a single blink of his vertical pupils. I took it from the library myself 3 days ago. I wanted her to have it as a token of my appreciation. Emma's jaw dropped. But young master, I found it in her drawer hidden under her clothes. If you gave it to her, why would she hide it? Ethan turned his gaze to Emma. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Because she is modest, Ethan said, his voice dripping with venom, unlike some people who feel the need to pry into other people's private belongings. Tell me, Emma, why were you searching through Zoe's drawers? In the first place, do you make a habit of rifling through other people's underwear? Emma's face flushed a deep violent crimson. I was just looking for my hairbrush. Liar, liar, pants on fire. Ethan's mind sang mockingly, though his face remained a mask of aristocratic disdain. You went in there to plan it. I saw you on the security cameras, you absolute fool. Did you think I don't check the cameras in my own house? Mother, Ethan said, turning to Mrs. Parker. Our security team is very efficient. Would you like me to call them down to play the footage of the third floor corridor from this morning? I believe we would see Emma entering Zoe's room holding something silver in her hand and leaving empty-handed. Emma's eyes widened in sheer terror. She began to tremble, her knees buckling. No, that won't be necessary, Emma stammered, backing away. I must have been mistaken. I might have picked it up by accident. Enough, Mrs. Parker said, her voice cold as ice. She was not a stupid woman. She saw the guilt written all over Emma's face. Butler, pack Emma's bags. Send her back to the village immediately. The Parker family has no room for schemers and liars. Yes, madam, the butler said, stepping forward to escort a weeping, protesting Emma out of the hall. As Emma was dragged away, the hall into a quiet hush. Yes, she's gone. Bye-bye, Toad. Ethan's mind was practically throwing a festival with fireworks and parade floats. Now it's just me and my little butterfly. Forever. Mrs. Parker looked at her son, then at me. A look of deep understanding and perhaps a bit of awe crossed her face. It seems, Mrs. Parker said softly, the fortune tellers were right. The choice was never ours to make. Zoe, you will stay. I bowed my head. Thank you, Mrs. Parker. 2 years passed. The Parker estate, once a place of quiet tension and fear, had transformed under the stabilizing influence of our connection. Ethan's health flourished. He no longer suffered from the crippling fevers or the excruciating joint pain. We grew up together. I was now 18 and the birthmark on my cheek had faded to a soft, delicate pink, looking more than ever like a beautiful butterfly resting on my skin. I was studying literature at a top university, my tuition fully sponsored by the Parker family, just as promised. And Ethan, he had grown into a devastatingly handsome young man. He was tall, broad-shouldered, and had assumed a major role in the Parker family's business enterprises. To the business world, he was a ruthless, cold-blooded prodigy, but to me, he was still the boy who got excited over strawberry yogurt. It was the night of our 18th birthday, June 16th. The Parker mansion was hosting a grand gala to celebrate both our birthdays and Ethan's official entry into the high society. The ballroom was filled with crystal chandeliers, champagne fountains, and elite guests dressed in silk and velvet. I wore a simple, elegant emerald green gown that matched the color of the ancient serpent amulet, which I now wore proudly as a necklace. As I stood by the balcony, watching the guests, a familiar, deep voice echoed in my mind. Where's she? I've been talking to these boring board directors for 30 minutes. My collar is too tight. I want to rip it off. I want to hold Zoe's hand. She looks so beautiful tonight, like a forest goddess. Everyone is looking at her. I want to block their eyes. Only I can. Look at her. I turned and saw Ethan walking toward me, parting the crowd. Like the Red Sea, he looked breathtakingly handsome in his tailored tuxedo. Are you hiding from the guests? He asked aloud, standing beside me on the balcony, his shoulder lightly brushing mine. I'm just enjoying the breeze. I smiled, looking up at him. I want to kiss her. His thoughts suddenly whispered, a deep, intense, and mature emotion that made my breath hitch. I've waited 2 years. I'm 18 now. I can legally marry her. I want to tell her. But what if she still thinks of me as just a patient she had to take care of? What if she doesn't love me the way I love her? My heart swelled with a love so profound it brought tears to my eyes. I reached out, my fingers sliding into his, locking our hands together. His hand was warm, strong, and steady. Ethan, I said softly. Yes. He looked down at me, his vertical pupils softening into warm, dark pools of devotion. I can't hear you, I whispered. Ethan blinked. What? I've always been able to hear you, I said, a tear of joy slipping down my cheek. From the very first day we met, I heard how much you loved my birthmark. I heard how you wanted to turn my village into a garbage dump. I heard how much pain you were in and how much you wanted to protect me. Ethan froze. For the first time in his life, his mind went completely, utterly silent. His face turned a shade of red that rivaled the finest red wine on the banquet tables. She heard everything. His mind finally squeaked, sounding like a terrified kitten. Every single embarrassing, childish, possessive thought. Oh my God, I want to dig a hole and crawl into it. I want to hibernate for 3,000 years. I laughed, leaning my head against a shoulder. Don't hibernate, I murmured, my voice filled with tenderness. Because I love you too. Every single thought of you. Ethan's silence broke. A wave of pure, unadulterated, glorious joy crashed through our mental bond. So bright it felt like a sunrise in my Mind. He wrapped his arms around my waist, pulling me close against his chest. You really are a telepathic little butterfly, he whispered aloud, his lips brushing against my forehead, right where my hair parted. And you, I whispered back, are my handsome prince. Actually, I'm a dragon. His mind corrected proudly, a playful, happy purr echoing in my head. A big, cool dragon. And you are my treasure. I'm never letting you go. Onto the silver moonlight, surrounded by the music of the ballroom and the warmth of his embrace, I knew our destiny was no longer a curse. It was a promise of a beautiful, endless lifetime together.